How we got here, we left New York on Sunday, we flew to Seattle, then of course we flew to Boulder, flew to Denver and drove to Boulder. From there, Oshkosh, Wisconsin on Wednesday, talked a lot about manufacturing. Calvert, Alabama on Thursday, where we talked a lot about steel production, and then up here we flew into Fayetteville and are here at Fort Bragg this morning. Later on today, guys, we're going to show you a little bit more of Fort Bragg. We are obviously, as I said, at the home of the 82nd Airborne, and behind me you'll see the jump tower, 34 feet tall, and weather permitting, it's pretty miserable right now, but later on today, weather permitting, they will be practicing their jumps, and then at around 6:30 or so, the entire battalion, some 600 guys, soldiers I should say, are going to be doing their PT, and we'll get a look at that later on as well.
Down there. You know, Carl, if Sergeant Holka sees you just standing around there, the big toe from Stripes, if he were to see, you will be running that obstacle course just, you know, I feel you'd look kind of like John Candy. Do you remember him, whoa, running down the hill?
Did you? Were you telling me you recently watched that film again?
I did. It's so stupid. But, you know, Bill Murray, I don't know, the big toe, but I'm worried. We don't usually think necessarily of Opportunity USA as joining the Army like those two guys did in Stripes, right? But I mean, that is a noble calling, obviously.
True.
Yeah,
it's incredible. And just to give you one more little tidbit about the effect that it's having on Fayetteville, the #1 Papa John's in the country is here, and Panera, which has like 1,600 locations, their biggest opening ever was here as well. So we're beginning to see the ripple effect beyond the post and beyond just defense as well.
They don't call it mess for, you know, they didn't come up with that because it was great food, I think. Remember when we were at CU?
An army marches on its stomach, as they say.
Didn't you? We ordered a lot of pizza at CU too, instead of the dorm food that first year.
Yeah, so not so much PT, but
no. All right, hey Q, thanks. That's exciting where you are right now. Politics, you got a lot of different people you're going to talk to that are coming to the base to see you, right?
Some are coming to the base, and some are staying dry, and I don't blame them. We are at the 11th Quartermaster Pack Shed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. This is the group that supports the 82nd Airborne Division, which, as you may know, prides itself on being able to deploy anywhere in the world on 18 hours notice. This is where they pack the chutes on these long tables. If not for this group, the division would not jump. They can pack up to 800 chutes a day, depending on the type of chute, up to 40 cargo chutes a day. And it takes about one soldier, if they're really fast, about 5 minutes to pack one of these. These are called T11s right here. They're a little more complicated, but each soldier can pack up to 25 chutes a day. They're called riggers, and their motto is, because safety is so important, I will be sure, always. A lot more Squawk continues live from Fort Bragg in just a moment. Welcome back to Squawk Box on a Friday morning, live from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. You know, in the surrounding city of Fayetteville, North Carolina, the median price for a home is just over $200,000. That's around $70, $80 a square foot. It's a drop from a peak of about $100 a square foot, but despite that, Fayetteville is still a modern-day boomtown. Lunchtime in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and the line is literally out the door at Panera.
We thought this would be a really strong store, but we had no idea how strong it really turned out to be.
Opening in November to the tune of 2,000 transactions a day,
what can I get for you today?
The Fayetteville Panera still boasts some of the highest sales of the 1,400 restaurants in the chain. And the parking lots at Best Buy, Home Depot, and Target in Fayetteville are also packed. Even the local Ford dealer,
we've got a couple of 6-cylinder Mustangs as well,
is recognized as one of the top-performing dealerships in the nation.
Thank you very much. How you doing, sir?
50% of sales at this location, customers related to nearby Army base Fort Bragg.
Just got back from deployment.
They love their automobiles. I've seen so many cases that soldiers have come in from Iraq or Afghanistan on last night's plane. They've been gone 12 or 15 months, and they're down here in the same outfit they had on last night, waiting to buy a new car or buy a new truck.
In fact, the Chamber of Commerce attributes the recent jump in retail sales to the Army's base realignment program. which is attracting thousands to the Fort Bragg area. Thousands with money to spend at places like Panera.
That's looking good.
Where franchisee Joe Bastian, who took 3 years to open this store, is already planning a second location.
We're a little more highly motivated than we were 3 years ago.
Incredible economic stories, both on post and off post. And joining us this morning is Fort Bragg Garrison Commander Colonel Stephen Sisinski. He joins me here on a rainy Friday, but that's not going to stop PT from happening not too long from now, right?
No, not at Fort Bragg, and not in the Army generally.
Right. Give me a sense. We'll talk about the post in a minute, but we just ran a package about the local economy, and as one person said to me yesterday, it's like we live in a bubble in a way. Is that feeling prevalent in Fayetteville and on post, that the economy here is better than most?
It is. I go to the monthly Chamber of Commerce meetings, and there's a lot of optimism in the air. I think the local economy and the local businessmen know that they're anchored by the real estate market, which survived the crash of a couple of years ago, and that has enabled the local economy to at least survive in this downturn and even thrive a little bit. You put on top of that the growth that the region is going to experience with BRAC-related mandates, and I think the confidence, overall consumer confidence and business climate is pretty positive.
All right. The history of the Post dates back a long way, and if people don't already know about the airborne, I mean, they just need to look at Normandy and Desert Storm and Afghanistan and the incredible things they've done and can do on incredibly short notice.
Right. Yeah, this is the nation's premier power projection platform. This is where the National Command Authority, otherwise known as the President of the United States, calls when there's an emergency that he wants the Army to take care of. We like to think this is the nation's 911 center. We do contingency operations. That's a core competency of Fort Bragg, whether it be in the general purpose forces with the 82nd Airborne, or whether it be with our special operations forces over at U.S. Army Special Operations Command. We have two special forces groups here, the 3rd and the 7th. Of course, as part of BRAC, the 7th is moving to Florida, and the 3rd remains. And we also have the Joint Special Operations Command, which are the things that we don't talk about in the public.
Right. People talk about defense spending on the chopping block and the Pentagon having to make deep cuts,
right.
But part of that's going to involve consolidation, and I assume that that's sort of what is happening here, both on the soldier population growth and the civilian population.
Right, yeah, Fort Bragg is what we call a BRAC gainer. As part of the Base Realignment and Closure Act, there were some installations that were either closed and consolidated, and some that grew, and Fort Bragg was one of the ones that grew. When the Army experiences its drawdown here in the next decade or so, we will likely, we may shrink a little bit in the aggregate, but it's not going to be a deep cut like some other places may have experienced already. And our civilian population, which is already very, very large, we've got almost 13,000 Department of the Army civilians here at Fort Bragg, is going to actually grow a little bit up to almost 16,000 within the next 2 years.
That's amazing. In this weather, can they practice jumps or not at this point?
Believe it or not, you actually can jump with rain like this. What dictates what calls a jump off or not are the winds and the ceiling. So you'd have to make a determination as to what the ceiling is at first light. Actually looks pretty low right now, so this would probably scratch some jumps, but the rain itself wouldn't do it.
We'll cross our fingers. We'll see what happens. Colonel, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Colonel Sisinski. Joseph, we'll send it back to you. Can you, I don't know, as you guys are talking, I don't want you to miss this shot down here in Fort Bragg, but members of the 82nd Airborne at a little past 7 a.m. Eastern Time doing their PT. I knew you would not want to miss this. Despite the rain, they're making a couple passes through the parking lot for us, and if you don't know, the 82nd Airborne, of course, made that first drop on Normandy, 1944, the largest airborne assault in history. Desert Storm, the Tet Offensive, of course, Iraq and Afghanistan. Just a little texture in the midst of your economic discussion this morning.
I did want to see that. We didn't have audio that well. They're not. Do they ever? They do sing sometimes. They weren't right there. It's kind of early, right?
There are some cadences. There are some cadences. In fact, I heard one the other day that said, "We can't stand the AO." or something like that. Is
the Animal Orchestra. The Animal Orchestra has made it all the way down to, and you didn't ask them to sing. That wasn't from your prompting.
The AO drives us up a tree, makes me want to turn off my TV, or something like that.
As they're marching.
I didn't write it down.
It is funny. I mean, it is. When I see that tower, I'm sorry, I do think of Sergeant Holka up in that tower as it's. I don't know. You see a movie, and then I can't help think, Carl. I decided I'd say to you, Carl, if you call me Francis, I'll kill you. If you touch any of my things around the desk here, I'll kill you. If you don't rap when Greco says and you go too long, I'll kill you. I mean,
you know what? Is it a coincidence that we had Groundhog Day this week and now this? I mean, we're coming the Bill Murray Network.
But we are. But if you wanna shift gears, now that has some good rhythm for these guys to march.
That's like a national security breach right there, playing that over that shot.
You're probably right.
Even in 35-degree rain at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the 82nd Airborne does what they do, their basic airborne refresher. So that platform is a mock-up of a C-17 where you can get up to 100 soldiers, today about 50 or so, practicing jumping out of the plane. Those are jump masters that you see in the black. They are instructors at the Advanced Airborne School. They'll do that exercise, guys. They'll line up again, do it again. They do about 1 second intervals, about 1 arm length intervals. So they are out of that plane in a hurry, and that's important if you got a drop zone that's pretty concentrated. Things like that going on all the time. They do that if you haven't jumped in 6 months, so to sort of stay current on your airborne certification. Incredible.
Right, that's amazing, Carl. I was looking at that and thinking, you know, I mean, that would not bother me. I'm afraid of heights, but that one, I think I could get by with. But that looked a little high, actually, because so they'll actually. I didn't think of that. So to get in a concentrated drop zone, they got to get like 50 guys out in a matter of literally a matter of minutes, 1 or 2. Amazing. Yeah. I had no idea that you were going to go down there this time, Carl. That was cool. And look.
Is in the Tar Heel state. He is in North Carolina, looking perhaps at opportunities to volunteer.
Good morning, Mark. We are at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where the consolidation of a lot of defense spending is actually benefiting Fayetteville and the nearby communities. The median price for a new home here, over $200,000. That's about $70 or $80 a square foot. It's down from the peak of $100 a square foot, but Fayetteville still, despite that, is a boom town.
This is our second floor.
New homeowners Matt and Crystal,
We're going to eventually put a couch and a TV in here,
are settling in, just like thousands of others in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Husband Matt, whose last name we can't reveal because of his work, is stationed at Fort Bragg, which is part of the government's base realignment and closure initiative, a program expected to draw 40,000 civilian and military personnel to the area by 2015. But they're buying now.
They come to town and usually they've got a U-Haul behind them and they need a house to move in within 30 days.
Greg West is chief of staff at H&H Homes, the largest residential builder here, churning out 500 new homes a year for the last 2 years. While existing home sales sit flat, West says, he expects the demand for new homes to stay strong. And that's in a market where more than 4,000 new homes have sold since the boom here started in 2009.
We're just weathering the storm very well and doing much better than our peer builders in other parts of the country.
Now the BRAC program is sparking this influx of military personnel, but a huge part of the 40,000 people who are expected to call Fayetteville home are going to be private citizens, civilians that are here to support the military complex, Simon, and that's one reason housing's held up and job and income growth expected in this part of the country to be to well outpace the national average. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Carl.